Sorry, but guests like you aren't allowed on this floor. This area is for premium clients." The words struck like a stone through the polished atmosphere of the Argentum Hotel, a place where every surface gleamed with the reflection of wealth. Thomas Keene, the duty manager, wasn't whispering. He spoke loudly enough for a couple dragging suitcases nearby to turn their heads, loud enough that a travel vlogger in the corner instinctively raised her phone. Camille Rivers, the woman being stopped, didn't react right away. She looked straight ahead, her gaze as calm and deep as still water. She placed a silver-black card and her ID on the front desk. "Camille Rivers. I have a reservation. Code 8752. Thomas glanced down at the card, then shook his head as if he'd just seen a bad joke. "We'll need to verify," he said, signaling to another receptionist, Erin Walsh, who was already frowning at Camille like she'd stepped into a place she clearly didn't belong. Erin picked up the card between two fingers, like it might stain her skin. "Penthouse?" she repeated, her voice rising. "Really?" Camille said nothing. Thomas jerked his chin at Erin. "Lock it in the safe. Call security for verification. Be sure." A click sounded as the safe beneath the counter opened. The black card slid inside like a sentence passed without trial. Camille stood still. She didn't ask. She simply took out her phone and typed a single message. "Begin recording. Isolate Argentum branch." In the corner of the room, the vlogger, Lena, Park, whispered into her camera, "I'm at Argentum, Chicago, and it looks like I'm about to catch something unusual." Thomas wasn't done flexing authority. "You see," he said, turning back to Camille as if delivering a life lesson, "this hotel has its standards. The booking department occasionally makes mistakes, but I'm here to make sure the brand image stays intact." "Brand image?" Camille repeated, her voice barely a breath. Thomas didn't notice the trap waiting for him. "Yes," he emphasized, "we cater to a certain kind of clientele, and—" His eyes swept over Camille's sneakers, her neatly tied hair, her simple casual outfit. "You're not that type." No one laughed. No one spoke up. But the atmosphere in the lobby had shifted. Another front desk clerk, Noah Kim, stared at his computer screen. On it, the name Camille Rivers, Executive Owner Access, was flashing, but he didn't dare speak. He'd seen Thomas reject 3 job applicants just for sending a resume from a Gmail address instead of a personal domain. He knew what happened to people who spoke at the wrong time. Camille turned her head toward Noah. Their eyes met for half a second. Noah looked down. Lena raised her phone higher. The live stream was nearing 8,000 viewers. Comments poured in non-stop. "OMG, that's so racist. Why are they treating her like that?" "Someone stop this manager." Erin tapped the radio on her shoulder. "Security? We've got a non-compliant guest attempting unauthorized check-in." Camille exhaled slowly. Her eyes moved across the other guests. Some looked away, others pretended to be busy on their phones. "One last time," she said, "before this gets out of your control, I suggest you check the system again." Thomas crossed his arms. "No need. I know who belongs here, and you don't." For a moment, the hotel lobby, gilded, marbled, quiet, seemed to freeze. Camille pressed a button on her phone. A call connected. A woman's voice came through. "We are recording remotely. Argentum branch system identified, switching to emergency monitoring. Confirm?" Camille didn't look up. She answered calmly. "Confirmed. Begin compiling on-site violation records." Thomas frowned. "Who do you think you are?" He stepped closer. "You could be arrested for falsifying information and obstructing staff." Camille raised her head. Her eyes were no longer cool. They burned like steel just pulled from the forge. "No," she said. "I'm the one who signs your paycheck. And just now, you signed your own termination." The air seemed sucked out of the lobby. Aaron laughed. That's funny. But Noah didn't laugh. He looked again at the screen. Camille Rivers' name was still glowing, with the line owner-level clearance underneath. Camille took one, stepped toward the front desk. Call security, Thomas ordered. Immediately. Security had arrived, but they didn't act. One of them had recognized the name on the screen Camille was holding. Rivers International, CEO executive, credential active. The guard froze. Lena whispered, Wait, Camille Rivers? The founder of this hotel chain? The live stream exploded. She owns it? No way, fire them all. I'm screen recording this right now. Camille said just one sentence. You're fired, Thomas. And Aaron, too. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't slam anything. Just one sentence, as final as a death sentence. The front desk screen beeped. Access denied. Thomas's account had been revoked. Camille turned to Aaron. That's safe. Open it. Return my card. Aaron stood frozen. Camille didn't repeat herself. She just stared. Aaron opened the safe, her hand trembling. She placed the card on the counter like surrendering a weapon. Camille picked it up, held it, light, precise. The live stream had surpassed 30,000 viewers. Camille turned to Lena. You're filming this, right? Lena nodded. Keep going. People need to see this and remember it. The lobby, just a minute ago clouded with doubt, now burst into wide eyes and hushed murmurs. Camille looked around, one by one. This, she said, is a place I built so that everyone is treated with respect. Not like this. She turned, back to Thomas and Aaron. And no one stands at this front desk who doesn't understand that. Thomas stepped back. The face that had always been tense with confidence suddenly turned pale. The hotel's internal system, card scanners, staff logins, access control, had just denied his credentials. A sharp beep rang out as he tried to open the management interface. The screen turned red. Access denied. Account terminated. Aaron looked at Thomas, then back at Camille, her eyes filled with fear. At this moment, no one was pretending not to know who Camille Rivers was. There was no more doubt, no more authority to cling to. Camille said nothing. She didn't need to. Her silence was thunder, merciless and inescapable. The security guards stepped back, instinctively distancing themselves from her. This was no longer a guest and staff situation. This was judgment. Lena, the live streamer, didn't take her eyes off the screen. Viewers had surpassed 70,000, and comments were exploding. Ethan, Lena's assistant, whispered, We're filming a piece of history. Camille turned to Noah, the only receptionist who still looked composed. Do you see my name in the system? She asked. Noah swallowed hard, his voice shaking. Yes, executive account holder, highest level access. I'm sorry, I knew, but I didn't dare speak. Camille nodded slightly. You're not wrong for being afraid, but you are wrong if you stay silent once you know. She turned toward the entire lobby. Her voice was sharp as steel. This is the last chance for anyone who still wants to be honest with themselves. No one moved. No one spoke. Only the faint click of metal as Aaron unconsciously gripped her pen tighter. Camille pulled out her phone and dialed a number. Her voice was icy. Initiate exclusion protocol. Immediate termination. Thomas Keene, Aaron Walsh. Lock all access. Begin a full conduct investigation on this entire branch. On the other end, a female voice responded promptly. Confirmed. Termination orders are in effect. Thomas grimaced as if he wanted to interrupt, but Camille only tilted her head, slightly. You judged me as unfit based on a t-shirt and the color of my skin. I don't need your excuses. I need you gone before your dignity dissolves any further. Thomas opened his mouth. Camille continued. And if you think you can counter-sue, remember this. The cameras recorded everything. The live stream is ongoing. And the whole world now knows your name. Just then, the hotel's internal PA system blared, "Staff announcement. Access privileges for manager Thomas Keene and employee Aaron Walsh have been revoked. You are required to vacate the premises immediately." Whispers echoed around the lobby. Guests began recording openly without pretense. An elderly woman stepped forward. "Aaron glared at me 10 minutes ago just for asking where the restroom was." A young man said loudly, "Last week I booked a room here and was bumped to another branch for no reason." Was that discrimination, too? Camille looked at each person. She nodded, then turned to one of the security guards. "Escort the two of them out, and be respectful. I don't want them spinning a victim narrative after everything they've done." Aaron screamed, "You can't do this! This isn't how professionals act!" Camille stepped closer, only half a pace between them. She didn't shout, she wasn't rough, but each word cut into Aaron's broken pride like a blade. "You call?" Keeping a guest's card and telling them they're not the right class professional? "Then today I'm giving you a new lesson. This is what consequences look like." Thomas yanked off his name tag and threw it on the floor. "I won't let this slide. I know the law." Camille let out a soft laugh. No joy, no mockery. "The law? I spent 10 years building this hotel chain. Every brick, every protocol. The law is what I created, and today it's finally being enforced." A young IT staffer ran out of breath. "Ms. Rivers, the system has locked all old access, and 3 months of security footage are being uploaded to HQ. But there's one thing," Camille ordered. "Back it up immediately, encrypt it, send it to legal." Then she turned to Lena. "Is the live stream still running?" "Yes," Lena replied, hands steady on the device. "And people are blowing up over the truth." Camille looked directly into the lens. Her voice echoed through the space that moments ago reeked of luxury and now reeked of exposure. "This is a warning to every branch of Skyline Hotels. If you've ever judged a guest by appearance, by bias, by secret lists, I will find you and end that game. I didn't build this empire just to see it tainted by people like that." To the left, a young receptionist named Kira stepped out from behind the desk. Her hands trembled, eyes red. "I knew about it. I saw it, but I was scared. I want to say sorry." Camille looked straight at her. "No need to apologize. Just speak the truth." Kira nodded. "Thomas, he used to order us to deny service to anyone not on brand. Anyone who looked off-standard. That's the term he used. And if we objected, we'd get night shifts or have our hours cut." Camille nodded. She turned to the gathered guests who were now fully engaged. "These are the people I want to keep. The ones brave enough to speak the truth. The live stream now has over 150,000 viewers. Hashtags Skyline Scandal, Das Camille Rivers, and Das Hotel Justice were trending. Camille tapped her phone. "Call an emergency meeting. All branches, all managers. Within 6 hours, I'll lead it personally." She lifted her head. Her eyes scanned the room. "And starting today, Skyline Hotels will no longer be just a hotel chain. We will be the new standard for this industry." The chandelier above sparkled. The sound of security escorting Thomas and Aaron echoed like a gavel against the marble floor. Collapse doesn't need fire, just the truth. And truth had now exploded. Camille stood in the emergency operations room of Skyline Hotel's 43rd floor headquarters. Cold LED lights cast a sharp glow on her angular cheekbones, reflecting off the screen behind her, a digital map displaying 87 branch locations in the system, from New York to Los Angeles, from Seattle to Miami. Each colored dot represented a branch. Each one was now under a special investigation order. Beside Camille were 2 legal advisors, a data analyst, and a former employee who had been fired for not fitting the brand image. The door shut behind them. The only sounds were keystrokes and accelerating heartbeats. This is no longer. About a lobby in Seattle, Camille said, eyes locked on the screen. This is a system that's rotted from within, and we will dissect it piece by piece. The internal live stream system was on. Over 300 branch managers and regional supervisors were on the other end, some tense, some trembling, some trying to look calm. Camille leaned in. "I'm not starting with a speech. I'm starting with evidence." She snapped her fingers. The data analyst pressed a button. The screen changed. Internal emails appeared, each line of text landing like a punch in the face of someone on the other end. "Don't let cheap-looking guests onto the 18th floor. They ruin the image. If a black woman books a large room alone, double-check, usually not trustworthy guests. Use a technical excuse if you need to cancel a room without getting sued. Just say there's a sanitation issue." Camille stepped forward, each stride heavy like a hammer. "These weren't written by AI. They weren't fabricated by competitors. These are internal messages from you to each other. And here's a real person, Kelly Morales. She was denied a room despite her reservation because she was with her young daughter and dressed simply." The screen changed again. A video from a Los Angeles branch's security camera showed staff bowing their heads while turning Kelly away. Her child stood beside her, hugging a stuffed animal, eyes lost. "Next," Camille said. "New Orleans branch. Mr. Troy Miller, a VIP guest for 3 consecutive years, had his reservation canceled right before check-in because the staff felt uncomfortable with his shorts. Said it was inappropriate. He's a war veteran." The screen changed once more. Another internal email appeared. "Sometimes we maintain class by sacrificing tone-deaf customers." Faces began to pale across the Zoom call. Some turned off their webcams. Camille didn't stop. "If you're thinking, I didn't know, I didn't do it, I just followed orders, then let me be clear. I don't need people who just follow. I need people who know when to stop." One man, Reuben Ford, regional manager for the Midwest, spoke up. "Ms. Rivers, we have a guest screening protocol meant to ensure safety, not discrimination." Camille turned, her eyes aimed straight into the webcam. "You say safety? Then explain why in the past 4 months, 12 black women have been denied check-in under suspicious reasons, but not once has a white man in a hoodie been flagged?" No one answered. Camille stepped forward again. "Because you don't have a protocol. You have prejudice. And when prejudice becomes policy, it turns into systemic discrimination. That is sin written in the language of professionalism." The live stream continued to spread internally and to the public. Lena, the vlogger from the day of the incident, was now streaming on YouTube and Instagram with over 800,000 viewers. "I'm inside Skyline's operations center. We're witnessing CEO Camille Rivers turn the system inside out. This is no longer a local story. This is a service industry revolution." She panned the camera to the display board showing all 87 branches, orange, under investigation, red, serious issues, black, operations suspended. Camille continued. "I'm not firing everyone, but I will remove anyone who denies the truth, starting with Patrick Keene, the former West Coast Regional Director, who personally implemented the brand image filtering policy. His account has been frozen. Copies of his data are being sent to the California State Court." A staff member whispered behind her, "They'll sue. They'll push back." Camille turned. Her voice was sharp as a blade without needing to raise. They will sue? Good. Because that will force the truth into the light where it can't hide behind suits or 5-star signs." The meeting switched to public mode. Camille stared into the camera. "A hotel is a place people go to feel safe, to rest, not to be judged for their clothes, their skin, or their voice. I once slept in a freezing car on the outskirts of Chicago because no one would rent me a room, and I swear no one else will ever have to go through that again, not while I run this chain." A round of applause broke out, not from the managers, but from the thousands watching the live stream. In the comments, "She's not a CEO. She's a revolution." I've never wanted to stay at this hotel before. Now I will. Because of her. Camille turned. Begin Phase 2. Audit all internal policies. Every single staff training document. Remove any directive that mentions screening guests for brand image alignment. Create a civilian board made up of guests who were previously turned away. They will have the authority to review the system. A legal advisor asked, "What if the board of directors doesn't agree?" Camille didn't blink. "I'll buy out every seat if I have to. I've done it once. I can do it again. And this time, I'm not alone. I have a team. I have witnesses. I have an audience. And I have justice." She stood tall. On the screen, the first branch shifted from orange to green. Miami branch has completed its audit. Conclusion, full staff turnover. The former manager issued a public apology. They want a fresh start. Camille nodded. Send them a thank you letter. They are proof that change is possible. On the adjacent screen, Lena spoke loudly. Everyone, we are witnessing the rebirth of an empire. A CEO willing to tear down the very system she built just to defend one simple value: respect for human beings. Camille bowed her head. The journey ahead is long, but today I've burned part of the old to make way for the new, and I hope you'll walk this path with me to the end. The slap cracked like thunder. Everything in the grand lobby of the Argentum, from the typing sounds, the coffee machine, to even breathing, froze. Jessica Boyd, assistant hotel manager, stood stiff, a handprint seared into her cheek. She had just slapped Camille Rivers. It was completely intentional, no longer accidental. It was the strike of someone who felt their position collapsing. Camille didn't flinch, didn't turn away. She slowly turned her head back, her eyes so cold they seemed to drop the lobby's temperature like a blackout. "It's over," Camille said softly, not to Jessica, but like tolling a funeral bell. At that exact moment, the revolving door opened. 4 lawyers in gray suits walked in. No noise, no introductions, just the look in their eyes was enough to make every staff member behind the front desk go pale. The lead attorney, Thomas Vex, placed a leather-bound folder on the counter, as gently as laying down a case full of weapons. Official termination notice, issued to Ms. Jessica Boyd, Mr. Robert Keller, and Mr. Dennis Langley. Effective immediately. Then he turned to the security guards. Please assist with escorting them off the hotel grounds within 10 minutes. Jessica stammered. You can't do this. I have the right to file a grievance. You'll receive your appeal documentation via the internal system, Camille cut in, after returning all company property and having your access revoked. The system was locked 3 minutes ago. Dennis, who had once scoffed at verifying Camille's credentials, stood frozen. I'm a regional supervisor. I don't report directly to this branch. Correct, Camille stepped forward. But you report to Patrick Harris, who has just been charged with complicity in systemic discrimination, falsifying records, and reputational damage to the enterprise. Would you like your name added to the civil suit? Dennis swallowed hard, his whole frame collapsing. Just then, Camille's phone rang. She answered with one word. Begin. Instantly, the large screen behind her lit up with continuous surveillance. Footage. A clip of Robert Keller smiling as he told an employee, We've got an off-brand guest today. Handle it gently. Don't be too direct. A clip of Dennis altering a booking file to remove the name of an Asian woman, replacing it with a new white guest. A clip of Jessica covertly drafting an email instructing staff to move unsuitable guests to lower floors, as far from VIP areas as possible. No one could argue. No one dared to move. The hotel lobby had become a courtroom without a judge. Camille turned to the guests who were now gathered, many of them witnesses. You've seen the entire situation. These people didn't just insult me, they've repeated this misconduct with countless others for years. I don't need an apology, I need justice, and I want you to confirm that justice is happening right. Here! Applause erupted. Not polite applause, but the kind that rises from a crowd watching rightful punishment unfold. Camille raised her hand. Attorney Thomas handed her a folder. "This is the official press release. Would you like to announce it now?" Camille nodded and looked toward a young woman live streaming. It was Lena. "Post this immediately and record the following." She looked directly into the lens. Her face was no longer that of a businesswoman, it was that of a warrior. Skyline Hospitality hereby announces, as of today, the entire hotel system will undergo a complete moral purge. Each branch will be monitored by an independent oversight team. Guests will be able to submit anonymous evaluations and evidence if they experience discrimination. Any manager, staff member, or supervisor found in violation will be removed. No negotiations. We do not protect a brand. We protect people. The lobby exploded. Media outside the hotel surged in like a wave. Flashbulbs, microphones, live streams, reporters, all poured toward Camille like the epicenter of an earthquake. A journalist shouted, "Are you afraid shareholders will push back against such aggressive reform?" Camille didn't hesitate. "Any shareholder who refuses to accept ethics will have their shares bought out by my money or with the help of those standing behind me." She pointed to the customers, those who had once been rejected, insulted, ignored, now standing throughout the corridor like an unbreakable wall of trust. A young employee stepped forward. "I'm Madison, housekeeping staff. They used to tell me to report rooms as dirty if the guests looked too poor. I refused. They docked 3 days of my pay." Camille looked at her. "Tomorrow, Madison, you'll be transferred to the Executive Guest Services team, with proper compensation." Applause again. Madison began to cry. Those who were once invisible, now lifted into the light. As the sunset poured over the hotel's facade, Lena turned the camera on herself. "I used to think hotels were just places people came and went, but today I've seen there exists a place, when it stands tall, that can change an entire industry. Camille Rivers did that, and we just witnessed history." Camille stepped out through the front door. She didn't need bodyguards, didn't need titles, just a single step forward, and behind her was a seismic shift unlike anything the hospitality world had ever seen. A young boy on the sidewalk called out, "Miss, can I go into the hotel now?" Camille bent down, smiled, and held out her hand. "Not just go in, you'll be welcomed, always. Have you ever been mistreated because of how you look, how you speak, or where you come from? Maybe you stayed quiet. Maybe you let it go. But if today you choose to stand, even with just one sentence, one nod of solidarity, or one gaze that doesn't look away, you are changing something. You don't have to be a CEO to make this world better. You just have to not stay silent. And the question remains, today, whose side are you on? If you know the answer, let others know what you chose. Thank you for watching this story. If it moved you, help someone else find it too. Hit like, subscribe, and share this video. See you in the next one.